How are you, Joanne?
Maybe there's no sound. You turn the sound off. You turn the sound off. There's no sound, but we have to go plus on the sounds. Yeah. You sit down.
Sure. Just want to be sure if it's going. No, I don't.
Okay, hanging in there. Miss you people.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday service. Last few weeks we are doing Sunday service through the Zoom program, and I believe it's almost very successful. So we have to continue this way. We don't know how long we have to continue, but we will try to continue. By the way, today our speaker, Reverend Ksanti, one of our member, I believe Reverend Ksanti almost 20 years coming to, more than 20 years coming to the center, studying with Reverend Karuna, and my teacher, Venerable Dr. Ratanasara, and he's wonderful monks and very helpful to us. He always talking about his teachers, especially with Venerable Karuna. And so I really appreciate about your help. Reverend Ksanti, you can start talk a little later. First, we're going to start a little bit meditation, loving kindness meditation. So after the meditation, we will do the Dhamma talk. I will lead a little bit loving kindness meditation. First of all the members, whoever they are, please take deep breath and sit one place quietly, clean your mind, and thinking about like this way. May I be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no problems come to me. May I always feel fullness. May I also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. So like that way, please think about the loving kindness meditation regarding all beings in this world. Just few minutes, let's meditate before the talk. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. By the power of all the meditation, by the power of the Buddha, by the power of the Dhamma, by the power of the Sangha, and by the power of all the Bodhisattvas, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now it's time to start Dhamma talk. Reverend Ksanti, you can start your talk right now.
This
Are you
is
there?
Zoom, so bear with me. When I was asked to do the talk, I went through all the various aspects that I could talk about and realized there were a lot of lists that you go through. You go through the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Noble Path, 5 precepts, 3 characteristics of existence, 3 poisons, 6 or 10 paramitas, and it goes on, and there are sets and subsets. And I thought I really needed to condense what my practice was about, if only to clear my mind at 74, and kind of like the long run to the end. And the first principle I came up with was from a post by Reverend Kusala that said, "We're spiritual beings having a human experience." This is actually a quote from Duchardin, who was a Jesuit priest. And I would probably modify that to spirit having a human experience. This has a lot to do with Yogacara, which is a branch of Mahayana. So this talk is focused on Mahayana practice. In that, there are 9 levels of consciousness. And I'm sorry, we're back to some numbers, but the 9 levels are the 5 levels of the senses. The 6th is a cognition, where it puts together and you decide what it is you saw, felt, smelled, whatever. The 7th is the ego, and in one reading it was called the nuisance consciousness, because it's always screaming me, 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 and it gets in the way. The 8th consciousness, and the one I'll be focusing on, is the alaya consciousness. That's the cosmic consciousness or the storehouse consciousness. And then the 9th is the Buddha nature, the consciousness without defilement. But it is in the alaya consciousness that, for me, things begin to make sense. Our existence makes sense. It's called the cosmic or the storehouse consciousness. And what it's the storehouse of is our karma. All the things we do with intent creates karma. And that gets stored like a warehouse. And you either add to it or you subtract to it, doing harm or doing well. And when you die, there's a dead body, but there's also the alaya, the place where your karma goes. And consciousness is everywhere. everything has consciousness. Dr. Philip Goff at USC or UCLA has been figuring out what consciousness is, and he came to the conclusion that just as gravity is universal, consciousness is universal. And we join that. Our karma does. And sometimes it hangs around. And then it finds a home. And it's the seeds of our being. It paves the road that we end up following until we exhaust our karma, which is probably many lifetimes away. And since you don't know what karma you have created in the past, your only action is to just keep going and trying to follow the path that the Buddha laid out. And because there's no self, it's not finite, it's not permanent, it keeps changing. Think of a movie reel. Movie reel is not a continuous thing. It's 24 frames a second. And that's you. Moment by moment, you die and are reborn. And as you're reborn, the karmic seeds that you let flower come back, and the ones that maybe didn't start to ripen. So you never really know. You can never define yourself as this. You are a process. There's a new film by Spike Lee, which is a film of David Byrne's American Utopia. And he starts out holding a rein, going around it with a song, and that speaks to the audience. It says, when we're born, we have an incredible number of receptors, neuron receptors that go. And as we get older, we actually have fewer and fewer because we use fewer and fewer. We develop habits, and those karmic seeds thrive in that. But they're always there. We set them aside. So in terms of rebirth, when the actual body goes and we're off in the cosmic consciousness with our karma, when the conditions are right, when we find karmic affinities, our karma goes there and we are reborn. Not reincarnated, but we now have a body that's going to have a human experience. And I love there's I think it's a Jataka tale about a monk who spent a lifetime in the practice, training his mind, trying to be in the moment, trying to do good, to gain merit. And when he knows he's about to die, he sits down for the final meditation. And just before he dies, he looks up and sees a deer and smiles. And then he dies. And then he's reborn as a deer for 500 lives. So that was, I guess, his affinity. So after we've worked through our karma, we will reach enlightenment, the Buddha nature, but it's going to take many, many lives. The second principle comes from Suzuki, who's the founder of the Zen Center in San Francisco. He started Zen in America. One of his students came up to him after a Dharma talk, and he asked Suzuki if he could ask a question. He said, "I've been coming here for many years, and I've listened to many Dharma talks, but I still don't get it. Can you summarize what it's all about?" And of course, the people who had been in the class laughed. I mean, there had been countless Dharma talks. And Suzuki said, "Well, yes, everything changes." And that's about it. I mean, there's the three characteristics. There is suffering, impermanence, and no self. We only really have this moment. We can't hold on to the past, and we don't know what's in the future. We only have this. A Prussian general, and the Prussians were very good at planning, and he told his generals that no battle plan survives the first bullet. So basically, all you can do is prepare, and you prepare by finding stillness and in the moment. Suzuki also said, Suzuki, my printer just went on. Suzuki also said that let your thoughts enter. Leave the front door open, but also leave the back door open, and don't invite them to tea. You're supposed to train your mind. You're supposed to find out what you think, because what you think is what you become. That's a paraphrase. It's the first Dhammapada stanza. And it's also the second step of the Eightfold Path. Right thought, right intention. Because that creates the karma. And from that, from your thoughts, follow speech, action, and livelihood. The thing you are in the world. So what my practice starts with what Kusala talked about 2 weeks ago, which is shikantaza meditation, which is just sitting and letting see what your mind does. Let the thoughts come and go. Don't invite them to tea. I think I'm pretty good at it, but I may have an advantage. I have tinnitus, which is the ringing in the ear, and it never goes away. And when I'm sitting, meditating, it becomes very loud. So maybe that's an object of meditation, an object of contemplation, but I hope it isn't. I hope I'm just sitting there. Because the next step, I have a choice. I either go with the Heart Sutra, which is the distillation of Madhyamaka Buddhism. It's the doctrine of emptiness. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. And that's a subject, a whole different Dharma talk. The other one, we actually began with this afternoon, which is the loving kindness meditation. And I use the Heart Sutra to develop a better understanding, and to figure out the puzzles. And I use the loving kindness meditation for walking in the world. It also encompasses a lot of the doctrines. It's metta meditation, and metta is loving kindness. And the first paramita is dana, which is generosity. And you consider loving kindness as the test of dana. And it's also the first Brahma Vihara, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. The Brahma Viharas are the immeasurables, the infinite mind. And so focusing on one of them is part of a good practice. Now, the loving kindness meditation is not really a recital. You can do it as a recital. It only takes a couple of minutes. But you can also use it for deep contemplation, and developing loving kindness, gratitude, which is very important in Buddhism, and compassion. The structure of the meditation follows closely the Sigala Sutta, which is the layperson's code of discipline, which also is an exercise in gratitude and guidance for life. It starts as a parable. One morning, the Buddha goes out with his begging bowl to get his meal for the day, and he sees a young man, Sigala, in a field, and he's bowing to the four directions and raising his hands to the sky and then bowing to the earth. And the Buddha says, what are you doing? And Sigala says, well, when my father died, his last wish was that I worship all directions to keep evil away from the four directions and from above and below. And the Buddha thought about this and said, well, it's the right thing to do to keep the advice of your father, but you must not take your father's words literally. Your father didn't intend for you actually to bow down to the four directions and lift your hands and bow down to the earth. He then explained what the four directions meant. To worship the East really means to respect and honor your parents who gave you life and brought you through this world. But to worship the South means to respect and obey your teachers. To worship the West is to be faithful and devoted to your significant other. To use wife, but that's evolved. To worship the North means to be pleasant and charitable to your friends and relatives and neighbors. To worship the sky is to provide the material needs of religious persons, such as monks and ascetics. And to worship the earth means to be fair to servants, giving them work according to their abilities, paying them fair wages, providing them with medical care when they are sick. And there's also give them time off. This last one and I hope that Congress would take to heart. In the actual suit, which is an expansion of this, there are many, many lists explaining what you should and shouldn't do, and the benefits of it, and the evils if you don't. And it's kind of like the Nicomachean Ethics of Aristotle. It's well worth reading, or if you've already read it, maybe giving it to someone just starting out. But the actual meditation, it starts with I, and it asks, may I be well? And to think about that, I guess when you're very young, being well is just not having a cold or not having COVID. But as you age, things change. And what you could do when you were younger, you can't do anymore. And parts of you that worked really well don't work as well. But you take an inventory and determine what is well for you at this point. The next one is happy. And superficially, you can be happy if you've got enough money and you've got good times, etc. But if you think about what happiness is, it really is goodness. Goodness isn't dependent upon anything else. And if you're happy, is it because you're good or because you have a new car? Hopefully it's because you're good. Peaceful, it's like contentment. Free from suffering. Hopefully, in the day-to-day, the mundane, you're not suffering. But suffering is one of the characteristics of being human. And may you find fulfillment in what would be fulfilling to you. And then it goes on and says, may you have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination. May you have the tools to deal with what's going to happen. You can avoid difficulties, problems, and failures in life. They're going to come. You are going to have difficulties. You are going to have problems. Most probably you'll have a failure, either in the material world or in the emotional world. So it's a practice in first loving yourself and having compassion for yourself. And that's what you build on as you go through the other people that you meditate on with love. Your teachers, your significant other, your friends. And you can expand the list. Shraddha's mother, every evening, and she was an Italian Catholic. Italian Catholics don't go to church. They know that God knows what they're doing. But she felt that she had to say rosaries every evening. And she said rosaries for everyone she felt needed help with a problem, with a sickness, with a marital problem. And that list was kind of extensive. She would spend hours doing the rosary. So while I don't think you should probably spend hours doing the loving kindness meditation, you can think of people that you know of, or in contact with, that need loving kindness and compassion. It's a prayer. dealing with it. And that's, we have somebody writing up diplomas in mission without happiness. That is a test of our practice. And probably those things which I'm going to get through that. And I recently saw a film it's called My Buddhist Teacher. Hour and a half with it. And it reinforces everything as consciousness. This small creature. I had an interaction with this father in my car this morning. We negotiated getting it out safely. I succeeded, but as long we do, the phrase we use for one's suffering. Can you all hear me?
Tom, your audio has been cutting out for the last minute or so. So I don't know if you're using a microphone or if you're using your computer.
Speak. Okay, I'm going to switch.
Yeah, I thought it was mine, so I went back and closed all the other windows on my laptop, but thanks, Aboda, for letting him know.
I'll put on the video.
All right. So you missed 5 minutes of my talk? And it was the best part. All right, well.
Okay. When you were talking about Shada's grandmother with the rosary, I could still hear that part.
Okay, so I'll pick up.
Could you have Victor mute your computer, Tom? That I think that'll.
Back?
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, that'll.
Oh, okay, technology. I said this was my first.
Yeah, it's already muted now.
Okay, fine.
Wait a second. You turned off you turned off this.
Oh.
There you go. Town.
Yep.
There you
go. There I go. I'm back. All right. Did you get about my octopus? Okay.
Yes, if they can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Perfectly.
Oh, okay. Good. Did I talk about my octopus teacher?
I don't think I caught that.
You did.
I don't think so. No.
Oh, okay. So
No,
toward the end of the loving kindness meditation, may all beings, with form or without, with perception or without, with consciousness or without, and when you, well, Victor's back on mine. Anyway,
There's a film that's on Netflix. It's also on YouTube, called My Octopus Teacher, which is a marvelous film. A marine biologist in South Africa spent a year observing an octopus. Octopuses live 1 year. So it was the entire life cycle of the octopus. And during that year, he learns not only about the octopus, but about himself. And the octopus and he have a relationship. And it shows our interconnectedness. And you see his love and compassion for it, because it does ultimately die. And it was inevitable. He knew going into it. But it also is that everything has consciousness. I had an experience with a spider in my car this morning. How it got there, I don't know, but it was there. And I negotiated with it to try to get out of it, get the spider out of it. And I did, and realized that it had as much of a desire to live as I did. And then the next phrase is about may suffering ones be suffering free. And we say that every week. And it's a good way of reminding us of our interconnectedness and interdependence. And then it goes into something that for 20, 25 years, I've had a problem with. When I was getting my ordination, you have a moment with your teacher, and you can ask the teacher any question you want before you take the vows. And I had a problem with this particular section, which is, may all my misfortunes due to stars, demons, harmful spirits, and ominous planets be prevented and destroyed. And I didn't know really if I could go there. But after 25 years and deciding that Yogacara had validity and I believed in it, yeah. So the Ulambana service that we do usually every August is real. We open the doors, we hang flags, we invite restless spirits into the temple, and we do the service to gain merit for them so they can have a better rebirth. And if we do that, and the Tibetans, when someone dies, they have 49 days of prayer and rituals so that the spirit, the karma, the elements in the cosmic consciousness will find a good rebirth after the 49 days. So that's how I deal with it. And it took a long time for me to get there. And it's booga booga, but it's been a process. I mean, I gave a Dharma talk a while ago about trees having interrelationships. So you can take it or leave it. And then finally, may the fully awakened ones, the Buddhas, the Pratyeka Buddhas, the Arhats, the Bodhisattvas, protect me. And I feel that that I'm part of something more than myself, and that the Sangha is part of that. It shares my beliefs and gives me comfort and solace. And I am grateful for it. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. All right. Oh, this chat. Okay.
Well, I think at the very least I have a comment, or maybe I don't know, something to share with you, because I practice a different tradition of Buddhism, and yet there were still things that I found very relevant for myself. Studying a lot of the philosophical aspects of Buddhism, seeing all the lists, especially if you read the Abhidhamma, it's practically all just lists, and then what do you take away from it? And so I did appreciate that we all struggle with that. I have my own system, the way I've kind of understood those qualities to be subsumed under other qualities, because it's a lot of repetition. I mean, there's a reason why mindfulness is so popular. It pops up so many times. But what I really, really found meaningful to me was the focus on relationship, so much on talking about loving kindness or goodwill, or however we want to translate metta. But this focus on the path is something relational. It's always in relation to others, and how we act and perceive others, and how we treat others. And so I found that quite beautiful. And I'm glad that we were able to get the audio fixed, because your octopus story was worth it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ksanti.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much about your talk. A little bit audio problem, last 2-3 minutes. That's okay. So thank you again. We are out of running time. We're going to chant. Before the chanting, I want to mention a few things. All the monks are not here today. They went to the Anaheim for the Katina ceremony, because even, under this pandemic time, most people, they're doing very little monks and little people going to participate. I saw the last night there are 6 monks and around 20 people. Basically, there are 30-40 monks and 200-300 people. This time very little. Even Vinita and the other 3 monks, they went there. So I stay here because I'm getting old. I don't want to go and having any problem there. And I decided to be here and do some service for everybody. I'm happy to be here. And the next Sunday, which is the November 1st, I believe that's the day, the daylight changing time. Make sure, I believe we are losing 1 hour or whatever. But I think we are losing 1 hour. So next Sunday, our speaker is again the Nepali Dhammapala, or the Mr. Sai Maharjan. He's going to speak the first Sunday of the November. And the second Sunday of the November is Chandana Bhiksu is going to speak. I believe he's somewhere in the Middle East right now, but we communicate, and he like to give a Dhamma talk second Sunday. Third Sunday, Reverend Kusala is going to give a Dhamma talk. Fourth Sunday, the Panyaloka is going to give a Dhamma talk. And the last Sunday, Subodha, you are going to give a Dhamma talk. I believe the next October we have 5 Sundays. Same time, I like to invite the Victor or Sradha to give a Dhamma talk in December sometime.
Okay.
All right, I believe you are listening. So That's it right now. Before we start chanting, I want to say one more thing. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, all the meditation and Dhamma talk, we did lots of good activities here. Power of those merit, you all be well and happy. And protect from everywhere, from everything. Stay home. And it's coming the, it's a little bit, weather is changing, weather is coming, like winter is coming. Please be careful, as like us, we have to careful. Today we don't have anybody here except Nam and myself and our Ashan, who is helping to us doing the Zoom work. So thank you for everybody. Last item is we're going to chant page 4 and page 10. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho Vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu Anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati Sattha deva manussanang buddho bhagavati Swakhato bhagavata dhammo sandittiko Akaliko ehi passiko opanaiko paccatang veditabbo vinyuhiti Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Samidipatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Yadidan chattari purisa yugani atta purisa puggala Isa bhagavato savaka sangho Ahuniyo pahuniyo Dhakkiniyo anjali karaniyo Anuttaram punyakitang lokasati Sabbitiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu Mate bhavat antarayo Sukhi digayuko bhava. Page 10. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to study them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to win them all. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find have relief. Nguyện di thực công đức phổ nhớ tiếng đặng dự chung sanh giai thân Phật đạo. Nguyện di thực không đức phổ cập nhất thiết ngã đẳng dự chúng sanh giai cộng thân Phật đạo. Nguyện di thực không đức phổ cập nhất thiết ngã đẳng dự chúng sanh cộng thân Phật đạo. Mani Padme May all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Stephen, I forgot to tell Stephen. Hi.
Yes.
I forgot to say last week what a good talk you gave. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God.
Mr. Stephen, we have a family car emergency next time.
Oh, it's no worries. I completely understand. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.